All right, Drew, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Hey, good, man. Yeah, things are really well. We just got done with Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and it was a really good performance. So, yeah.
Yeah, you guys kicked ass.
Our clients kicked ass. Yeah, and I mean, we did our jobs. We worked with some good brands that did some smart things during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and yeah, everything turned out really well.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I know we're getting the holiday season here, so business is about to pick up. If you could kind of briefly describe, I know we've been working together now for about 6 months now, did quite a bit of meetings. Briefly describe to everybody like what you do.
Yeah, sure. So Vinculum, we're an Amazon agency. That's all we do is just Amazon. We're toying around with integrating TikTok into that as well, but we're really deep on Amazon. We provide end-to-end full service management, and our big thing that really makes us a little bit different than a lot of other agencies that are out there, we take a very integrated approach. So when we're looking to optimize around organic rank, we're very smart, very sophisticated around making sure that we're always optimized in and around organic rank. So tying keywords with the listing, SEO, as well as like images, and then making sure that your marketplace operations are all operating correctly so that you don't run out of stock and that your listing has maximum uptime, things like that.
Yeah, and I would speak very highly of you. I know you said a second ago you had grown a little bit. What's been your growth this year?
Yeah, so we're up 40% this year. We'll probably hit like 42% to be really specific. We're starting to like dial in those numbers now because we're in the final month. But yeah, we've had consistent growth. The only exception to that is we did have a downtick with the tariffs that took place in that April-March timeframe, but we've more than made up for it even since then. So that to me is even more like healthy because like even though we had a downtick, the second half of the year, it's just been consistent.
So we started around May. So probably right around the tariff issues started happening. We kind of started talking around that time. We started launched around May. Can you share where you were before working with us, specifically with like cold email and like new meetings, things like that?
Yeah, sure. It's the landscape view of kind of like what our go-to-market, new business generation landscape looked like. We have a partnership network that we rely on, and we pay for introductions. We pay for signed contracts. That's like the structure that we use. That's pretty good, but there's a tipping point where it's like you just can't continue to get those introductions. We get referrals, and then we white label. So those are the three primary things that we do that's outside of cold email. It was fine, but it also felt a little uncontrolled. Like we didn't have any predictability or, we didn't know that like we could just push a button and then like go generate sales. We can do a lot when we can do that. So we can plan and forecast like for team services. Once we kind of have something like that in place, so if you have like a cold strategy in place, you can start thinking about services like TikTok because you can just go spin up a campaign and start generating sales and transactions for that. So that's kind of like where we were. And that's why cold email was really appealing for us. And then in Q1, we attempted to do it on our own. We joined a group, like a mastermind group that was focused on not just cold, but cold was like the first lever to kind of pull out of that strategy. We did that. We saw some success, but it was a lot of work and it was really difficult to maintain quality control. We weren't experts at it by any means. And that's how you and I got introduced.
Obviously, that's where it was before. I know it wasn't doing so hot, but kind of working a little bit. How's it changed since we started working together?
Well, first off, like we just turn you guys on and then we just get book meetings. So like that's really convenient. That model works really, really well for us. And then because it's paid for performance, that really works for us. And then just the collaboration and stuff that like we do around like we kind of maybe want to spin up a new message around something seasonal or a new service, maybe want to push forward like creative work or something like that, or TikTok, right? Because that's a new service that we're toying around with right now. And we haven't done that together personally, but that's an example of like where I'll knock on your door and you and your team and I will all get together and we'll say, okay, well, what do we want to do for this? And then we can go get 5-10 clients to spearhead the entry to that service.
Yeah. Let me know when TikTok happens because we will crush that. Like,
yeah, it's happening. It's just not in Q4.
Yeah. Let us know. Like we had another Amazon agency do the same thing. Like any TikTok agency is done very, very well because it's a hot like service right now. I mean, obviously you're working with us now for a while. What surprised you most about our services?
We just didn't know. We had a bunch of uncertainty around like whether this thing was even going to work. Like I'm an enterprise salesperson. So like it's not in my DNA. All marketing is not in my DNA, frankly. Even though I run an advertising agency, it's like, okay, well, but when we think about like how do we do like outreach B2B for large transactions, right? Multiple thousands of dollars, tens of thousands of dollars on a per monthly basis. How do you go and do that outreach? And there's different tools in your toolkit. Cold being one of them was brand new to me. I get enough cold inbound and I'm annoyed by it that I think, okay, well, I don't want to do that. And that's not going to work because I refuse all cold inbounds. And it couldn't be further from the truth. There is a lot of people out there that you don't know the timing or when they have a problem or when they're like going through a moment where they are seeking expertise or help. if you've got a legitimate product and service and it's not sleazy or scummy or anything, well, then you're not a spammer. You're actually trying to help people. So that mindset kind of flipped things for us where it's like, okay, like we really can deliver on what it is that we want to do. And so fine, we're doing cold outbound. We can kind of get around the whole idea of like how I feel about it when I get spam. There are people that are grateful that we reached out to them. So that was something that I learned that I thought was really, really important, that not everybody hates cold email. About 1.2% don't mind it.
Yeah. It's funny, the stats on it. Once you understand the stats, though, it's very easy, like we've been doing, to scale the agency. If this is how many people are interested per this email, let's scale this thing. So we've obviously, it's been 6 months. I think we've booked about 170 meetings over that or somewhere in that during that time, and still working to scale and helping you guys grow. Were you surprised by that volume over that period of time, or that many meetings booked for you over that period of time?
I kind of throttle you guys back, to be honest with you, because half my job's strategy, right, for the business. Like, how are we going to grow and do those things? So I think because right now I'm primarily the person that's focused on sales. I've got another person that does a little bit of overflow, but I handle all of the main booked meetings that go through, and I'm a bottleneck to it. So no, I don't care about 170. If I can make it 300, I would. For me, it's more about the control and the predictability, because we can't just go bring clients on and have a great service. We would break things, and we either have a really bad client experience, or I'd break the team would get broken. And in either case, those are bad things to have happen in your business. For us, it's really about like, okay, like, can we start to forecast? Can we start to be more predictable? If I have 10 meetings per week and I can close 2, 3, 4 of those, whatever the close rate will be, I can start forecasting on a monthly basis. Now I can engage my recruiter. We can start pre-planning on like, hey, here's what our hiring pipeline needs to look like. We can start thinking much, much more strategically. So those old ways of those other ways that we were managing the business with like the partner program and some of those other, like the white labeling, it really was just so random. We didn't have any control.
Unpredictable.
It comes down to that. But the throughput and stuff was definitely, I mean, you're happy for us to pay you for the book meetings and stuff. So it's great. For us, it's really just about that predictability. So, and just not giving up the service quality. I think that's probably the biggest bottleneck, is the service quality. Like not taxing the team too much, and then not bringing on so many clients so fast that our existing clients suffer, or the experience for a new client suffers.
I think it's any agency that's like us as well. Like, you want to be able to scale predictably, but also be able to fulfill on executing on those things for clients as well, or hire a sales guy.
Right. Yeah. TBD.
Right?
TBD. Yeah. TB continued. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, obviously we've done well for you. You've been an amazing client. If somebody was on the fence, like about working with us, is there anything that you would tell them?
Honestly, like go talk to some of the people that you work with. I think that's like we did that. Like we met with 2 people, I think you introduced us to. And so we got a credibility check around you, which in this space, that's a big deal, because there's lots of people that spamming saying, hey, we can help you grow your business by doing cold outbound. We get those spams. So we wanted to know that we were working with somebody who was reputable, he was fair. I think, in these YouTube videos, you're like, well, was Drew, I'm not getting paid for any of this, like at all. Maybe Ryan will not charge me for a book meeting, which, whatever. No, but the reality is like, you don't know who the vendors are that you're going to work with. And that's step one. And then the other piece is you kind of want to understand, like, what you're going to be getting to in terms of commitment. If you're not going to commit to cold email for like, I would say like 3 to 6 months, then you're not ready for it. If you start something and you don't see the results, you don't have sort of a, testing experimentation kind of mindset. Depends on what you're selling. But like, you had experience working with agencies that were similar to us, that gave us a lot of confidence that like we could rely on your approach, like your strategies, folding in a couple of details that made us stand out a little bit. But at the end of the day, it just really came down to sort of like their reputation, and then like knowing that we're going to be committed to this strategy for like 3 to 6 months. Yeah,
I do think that's why we get hired a lot, is like we've worked with a lot of agency like yours. We have a lot of case studies there, social proof, like references, which is, like you said, like super hard bar, it seems like, for other agencies to even have in our space. We're able to provide. You got any final thoughts for any of our viewers?
No, nothing specific comes to mind other than like just going back to your question from earlier. What were the hangups that we had in terms of being able to move forward with like a cold strategy? It wasn't in my DNA. But we wanted the predictability. We weren't sure about your reputation, like when we first got introduced to you. And then the other piece was, how do you kind of forecast sort of how this will start affecting your business? I think that those are kind of the things you want to be thinking through. Like, if you're going to start this process, like what's your crawl, walk, run look like? And I think right now I'd be happy to run, we're purposefully staying at a walk in terms of the meetings that we get booked on like a monthly basis. But learning how to crawl, walk, and run and get these routines and systems down, you'll need things like your team does require language or replies back from us that are our voice and tone that comes from somebody. It's not just like you get booked meetings. There's still work that's involved, even though you're doing the heavy lift, and you are doing a tremendous amount of heavy lift. But your team will come to us and say things like, this brand seems interested. They have a unique question, and your team doesn't know Amazon like we do. And so they want to have a specific question about our service, how we implement it, what it costs. They want to know some details before they're willing to give up 30 minutes to an hour of their time. So you need to be prepared that like there's real transactional work that happens even before the book meeting. That I didn't really think through a lot. And the reason that mattered is we now have canned responses for your team. So like we started creating a library for like, okay, we've already had this question once before. I go scan the library, I have ChatGPT go revise it, and then I kick that out to your team. Now it takes me like 5 minutes to do those.
Sure.
But it was like, shit, like I don't know how to answer that question. It was like a 30-minute commitment for me to be able to legitimately answer that. But now that we've got it and we're 6 months in, things are running much more on rails.
I would say like, it seems like we take about 90% of the work off the plate, but sometimes why I think you're a good client is like you do put the work in on both offers, figuring out best way to respond, getting to us quickly too on responses, because I know speed of lead is important. And like you were always willing to do those things, which I honestly think has made you like a great client.
I mean, listen, we want growth. So like you got to do the work. There's no magic bullet. You can't put a meeting on my calendar and I spend 30 minutes and I sign a contract. That's not going to happen.
No, not at all.
Not going to happen. Not for a $10,000 a month contract. That's just never going to happen. So your first impression is going to be your marketing manager that does the outreach. The second one is whatever reply that we coordinate on or whatever. The third is the first meeting. And then it goes from there. Usually like 3 to 4 meetings before we close.
And your sales process, like your sales process is a whole nother thing. I could do everything correct on my end if your sales process isn't tight. But once it works very well.
No, and then we're constantly iterating on the messages because we're changing our ICP, right? Like our ICP 2 or 3 years ago is very different than the ICP that we have today. We're constantly like reworking, like, are we really resonating with this VP of e-commerce? Are we really resonating with this, director of marketplaces or whoever it is? And so like, even though we've got canned responses, they'll still get evaluated and considered like, is this really relevant for this audience or not? And do we actually have a canned response or do we need to make a change to it or whatever? So yeah.
I think it's why a good client, like we obviously are flexible and we're going to collaborate on those things, but I think you do a good job of working through those things on your end to get better success on our end too. And ultimately we both make more money.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Not bad, Drew. This is actually your interview. All right.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, man. Well, good talking to you, Drew. And I'm excited to go into 2026, man. Kick ass.
Sounds great, man.